Will Cain, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, is in focus now. Will, what stood out to you?
What stood out to me, I think, is the phrase that was uttered by Senator Tom Cotton in those clips you just played. The president is detached from reality. I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as a reflection of reality. When he says that he has overperformed in his first year, I don't think you're going to find maybe a single American who would agree with that assessment of his first year. When he says that the midterm report cards are going to come back positive for Democrats and for his administration, he shows that he has no grasp on what's happening in the real world. And it makes somewhat sense, Harris. I think that President Biden and the Democrats, for that matter, have done a good job of warping reality, shaping reality for the past couple of years. They've painted the prior administration as the reinvention of the Ku Klux Klan. They've painted all of their political opponents as racist, and they've been rewarded with political power. They've pumped the American public full of fear over COVID, and they have been rewarded with yet more power. So they have shaped reality, but reality is now rudely interrupting this delusion. Whether or not it comes in the form of Russia or inflation or bad poll numbers, reality has a way of waking you up. And so his delusion, his detachment from reality is now becoming obvious, I think, to the American people.
Look, I described the press corps inside the White House yesterday as hungrier than normal, and I'm interested to get your grade on how they did. First of all, there were a few softballs, but there were a lot of tough questions, too. Let's watch.
Did you overpromise to the American public what you could achieve in your first year in office?
Do you need to be more realistic and scale down these priorities?
Now that legislation appears to be hopelessly stalled, can you now lay out your strategy to protect voting rights?
I spoke to a number of black voters who fought to get you elected, and now they feel as though you are not fighting hard enough for them.
Why are you trying so hard in your first year to pull the country so far to the left?
Now, I do want to note this, Will. Not one question on the violent crime crisis in this country, and immigration was brought up only 2 times. Your take?
My take is that is a performance which, I guess, in the same way that we should say President Biden did a good job of fielding questions for 2 hours, that should be commended. He was out there for 2 hours. He should do that much more often. It should be much less scripted. We can give also faint praise, nonpartisan faint praise to the press for finally pushing back a little, Harris. And look at the response, by the way, from President Biden. I think the minute that his reality, by the way, is interrupted, then he lashes out. He blames others for his problems. We know he's done that with the unvaccinated for a year. He blamed Fox News. I watched all 2 hours of this. He blamed Fox News in particular, and anyone who disagrees with him for not shaping the American public to his delusions. He blames everyone who steps in his way, Republicans, as you pointed out at the top of the show. He has a problem with Democrats. It's not
Republicans. Yeah, but he didn't mention them by name this time.
No, he wouldn't even mention them by party.
Yeah, he
did skip that part. It's cinema and Manchin, 2 people with D's beside their name that stand in the way of his agenda, not Republicans. He lashes out over and over at anyone who dares step up to challenge him. And here the media gave him just the slightest bit of pushback. Maybe best, real quick, Harris, maybe best illustrated by the moment where one reporter said, hey, why are you calling your opponents Bull Connor or George Wallace? And he said, I didn't say that. He got angry, right? I didn't say that. Read what I said. He said, in correction, I said they stand on the side of Bull Connor and George Wallace. You're not literally George Wallace or Bull Connor, but you're with them. I'm not really sure how that makes his position better, but it did show his anger at anyone that dare challenge him.
Yeah, that part felt a little bit like, well, okay, well, let's rehearse this part because you know you're going to get this question. He was ready to go. And we'll have to see how that works out for him with communities of color, because as you heard Kristen Welker from NBC, she pressed him on how the numbers have come down for people who support him, who are people of color, and they were a primary reason of why he got into the White House. All right, I want to move to this. You mentioned the midterms a moment ago, and President Biden yesterday insisted he will do what he can to help his fellow Democrat lawmakers in the upcoming elections.
I'm going to be deeply involved in these off-year elections. We're going to be raising a lot of money. We're going to be out there making sure that we're helping all of those candidates.
I don't know, with those poll numbers, I'm not sure if that's good news for them. But anyway, even CNN reporting that Biden has not made himself available to talk with Democrat campaign committee chairs about the midterms despite their requests. Biden's low approval rating and the wave of Democrat retirements has the party worried about November 8th. 292 days from today. Yes, we're counting. Will.
You know, since you bring up CNN, I want to tie this back into our last question, our last conversation about lashing out at those that disagree with you and who you blame for your problems. There was a CNN pundit the other day who was a high-level politico that ran several administrations' communications who said the Democrats don't have bad leaders, they have bad followers. So now we're to the point of not only blaming the media or the unvaccinated, we're blaming Democratic voters for not following along with this administration's delusions. It's truly remarkable. No, if I'm a Democrat, Harris, I don't want President Biden campaigning for me. You brought up minority voters. Those polls, the most stark thing, Harris, is that Quinnipiac poll that says, yes, he's 33% with the American public. He's 25% with independents. He's 24% with young people and 28% with Latinos. That is not someone you want campaigning for you if you're a Democrat across this country. And then finally, I'll say this, Harris. Because of all of these reasons, it's unforgivable that the president now steps up to that podium and begins to question the election integrity. How many days out did you say?
That was stark. Yeah, that was stark.
Harris, the Democrats have spent years coming after President Trump for questioning election results, and here they are when the shoe is on the other foot, before the election even takes place, by a measure of, 7-8 months, already calling into question the midterm elections.
Yeah, I mean, that was just stark opposition to anything that Democrats have been saying, including him up until this point. But I guess they're looking, it may not go their way. And so, by the way, the White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, was asked about that last hour on America's Newsroom. And so it is something that the White House is going to have to deal with, him saying that. Because the election, as I said, is November 8th. It's coming up. And does the president believe it's going to be fair or not if he doesn't get the legislation he wants? If he doesn't get his way, is he going to say it didn't really happen the way it should have? We'll have to cover the news as it happens. Will Cain, great to have you in focus.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.